So today we're going to be talking about tools you should have with you when you're riding. This is not an end-all be-all. This is what you should have on your motorcycle. No, because I don't have every motorcycle in the world. I do not know every spec, every bolt, every screw. I don't know the size for every one of them. This is just to get you thinking and to let you use this to bounce off your motorcycle and your specifications on your motorcycle so that you can find the right tools for your bike that you should ride with. I'm just going to give you ideas. If you don't like them, you don't like them. If you do, you do. But hopefully this is a helpful video for you. And hopefully you don't have to go through the past experiences that I went through, especially with my Softail Deluxe. But I do want to start off with like the basic stuff that you can use for pretty much every motorcycle. And tool number one in my eyes would be screwdrivers. So I've got the universal screwdriver, which is you take a screwdriver like this that takes quarter-inch bits, and you take your bit right here and you place it in there. Boom, you've got a flathead screwdriver now. AutoZone, Walmart, they've got the little kits there. They're not for torquing down in daily use. They're for an emergency. So I wouldn't recommend this one in particular for daily use, because the more you use it, the more it wears. But in a pinch, if you need to use it, this is a great thing to have on your motorcycle. I've also got some different types. I went a little extra with it because I've ran into some issues before. And I wanted to make sure I had a little bit more stuff and I'm not, suffering from, oh man, I can't get to this screw, or. So what I did was get stubby screwdrivers, flathead and Phillips head. You can never be too careful. You don't have to. If you've got the one that I showed you before, you don't have to have these. But I figured I would show you guys to get your wheels turning. Another basic tool for you to have would be a set of pliers, slip joint or needle nose, which right now I've got these needle nose, but over here I've got a tool that kind of does both. So I got needle noses. I like spring-loaded ones. As you can see, there's a spring in here, so it bounces right back out. That way, they don't get stuck and rusted in there, because I've seen a lot of times they rust and then you can't even use them. So needle nose pliers. This is to get that small stuff, fuel lines or whatever. You might have a fuel leak, and this right here can grab those hose clamps that are on your fuel line, pull it down, pull the other one off, and replace your hose if you're at an AutoZone or something like that. Auto parts store or something. It's always good to have pliers. And then you don't have to spend the money while you're there. You can just buy the hose, put it on there. You've already invested your money into something you'll have for a while. But number three for me would be pliers, right? But this is a multi-tool plier. This is a Gerber multi-tool. I got it issued to me when I was in the Army, so I've literally carried it with me for the past decade. This has got everything from a knife, flathead screwdrivers, can opener, Phillips head screwdrivers, a file, a saw, pliers. It's got a cutter in there in between the pliers, and it's got a ruler on it. I mean, it's literally a good tool to have in your little pouch. It doesn't weigh much. I mean, it could literally, in a pinch, get you out of a situation. With that being said, though, I don't recommend you use that tool for every single bolt on your bike, because if you use stuff like that, if you use the wrong tools on certain things, you could cause even more damage. So be smart, use common sense. But with that, those pliers and stuff like that, I've gave you some ideas. There's other things that you could use them for. But basically, if you've got a situation where you need pliers, why not carry why not carry a multi-tool with you? You know what I mean? Why not carry some screwdrivers with you? And that's literally, if you think about it, and you only decided to run with a multi-tool and this screwdriver, there you go right there. You can tighten quite a bit of few things on your motorcycle with these two tools. Now, this is kind of starting to get more specific to Harley, but I do have metric versions of everything that I've got. So let's get into it. So this is my, so if you ride a Harley, you know, a newer Harley or twin cam era, 3/8 bit socket, check your transmission fluid. Oh yes, this is literally a part of T-Clocks. Before you get on your motorcycle, you should have your 3/8. Before you get on your Harley, you should have your 3/8 bit socket and your ratchet to loosen it up, take it off, check your fluid, right? 9 times out of 10, your oil dipstick you can remove it by hand. And again, you might have to use pliers to get some of them off because they haven't been off in a long time. But that's why you got them. So bit socket for checking transmission fluid. So if you've got a motorcycle that doesn't necessarily use a 3/8 bit socket, but it uses a bolt head, a hex head bolt, have that socket, check and see what size it is, make sure it's a tight fit and it doesn't wiggle around and could possibly strip the head of your bolt. So that's specific to Harleys. I don't know of any other motorcycles that use a 3/8 dipstick. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's just Harley. I'll do some research and let you know. But 3/8 ratchet, 3/8 drive ratchet. So if you didn't know, a 3/8 drive, the drive, when people say that, they're referring to this piece right here, the square piece that's on the ratchet that you put the actual tool on, right? So that's a good thing to have. You can have a 1/4 inch, you can have a 3/8. I wouldn't recommend a half because that's just a little overboard for on the road pouch, but not heavy. It's easy to carry around with. I mean, it's pretty simple. With that same ratchet though, you've got, for me, my spark plug sizes are 5/8. So I use a 5/8 spark plug socket, and my oil drain plugs on my motorcycle on the Road Glide that I had were 5/8 too. So instead of having 2 different sockets, I had one, and I used my spark plug socket to also drain my oil if I needed to. Now, I don't recommend you drain your oil on the road. I do recommend you take it to a motorcycle shop and have them look at it if it's that big of an issue where you need to drain fluid from your motorcycle, because that's not really a good idea on the side of the road, unless you've got oil with you and you've got the replacement O-rings for your drain plugs. But spark plugs, I mean, come on, spark plugs fail a lot depending on what type of bike you ride, and you definitely don't want to be stuck on the side of the road because your spark plugs are foul. So for a Harley rider, 5/8 spark plug socket. On the Motorcycle Safety Foundation's website, they have a T-Clocks checklist. I will link that down in the description below. If you ride a motorcycle or you know someone who rides a motorcycle, I highly recommend taking the course and courses, because they have multiple courses for different types of bikes, and they have a basic rider and then they have an advanced rider course. It is definitely worth the money, and you save that money back on insurance costs throughout your time riding. You know, and all it's going to do is help you and help you be safer on 2 wheels. And at the end of the day, that's all everybody cares about, is having fun, getting some wind therapy, and getting home safely. But I'm riding down the road on my Softail Deluxe that I had '07, and I hit a speed bump, or I hit something in the road, and it jarred the bike, right? Well, I heard this metal-to-metal contact, and I pulled over into a gas station. And after about 15 minutes of looking, I found it. My freaking front brake caliper was missing the bottom bolt. So every time I hit a bump, it would clap the fork. So needless to say, I got kind of freaked out. I was like, oh my God. At that point, I knew that I needed to check my motorcycles and make sure that anything that could fail and anything that could cause a catastrophic failure, I needed to make sure was within spec, or at least tight. Another few tools that we have here that I would recommend you keep, and it really doesn't matter what type of motorcycle you have, you should always have an adjustable wrench. This one right here is on the smaller side of them. I mean, if you're tightening anything bigger than that, maybe a little bit bigger. They probably do make them a little bit bigger that you can carry, but if you're tightening anything bigger than what the average size adjustable wrench is tightening, you probably shouldn't have rode that motorcycle as far as you did anyways. Let's be honest. Some of these videos on YouTube are talking about carrying tubes for your tires and air compressors that you plug up to your battery. Look, I'm not talking about going that extreme. What I'm talking about is the basic setup for the basic dude. And as I was thinking about it, I figured there was another thing that you should probably have on your motorcycle, or at least in your garage. You don't necessarily have to ride with it, but it's probably a good idea to have one of these around. Myself personally, I've used something like this or this one multiple times to start my motorcycle, and even one time I've used it to start a car. So I know everybody that's probably watching this video has seen or has ran into their motorcycle's battery being dead, or not being charged enough to start your motorcycle. But AutoZone sells these little slimline Schumacher battery packs. They have more expensive ones out there. This one was like $50, I think, if that. But you got this thing also with the 2 leads on it that go to your battery terminals, right? Alligator clips, whatever you want to refer to them. And then you've got this end that plugs into your battery pack right here. Cut it on. It's also got a flashlight and some USB ports on it. But a little jump box would be something, it's going to be something I always have, at least, maybe not on the bike, but at my house or somewhere near where I'd be starting a motorcycle, like for the first time in the day. And in my tool pouch, I would also carry a little cardboard box that had turns into replacement bulbs for fuses and stuff like that in it. So like on a Harley, you got 1156 and 1157 bulb. They go in the turn signal sockets. I had one of each of those in my tool pouch, and I had fuses. So like, what was it, like 3.5 or 2.5 all the way up to 10 amp fuses in my, also had a maxi fuse, so a 40 amp fuse in my tool pouch, just in case I needed a fuse or a fuse blew. Believe it or not, it happens. But in general, that's about it for tools. If you have any other ideas, let me know in the comment section. And as always, like, subscribe, and share the video. If you think you know somebody that rides a motorcycle that might not be privy to having a tool pouch or T-clocks especially, make sure you have them watch the video. And also tell them to check out John's 5 things you should tighten on your Harley if they ride a Harley. It'll get the wheels turning, and it'll kind of get them in the thought process of being safer when they ride.